Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the Health Made Simple Show. I'm your host, Dr. Bart, and we're going to dive right in. Today, we are going to talk about the 3 facts that doctors do not tell you about when they talk about your health. The 3 facts they do not tell you about your health. These are important ones. I'm going to tell you about them. And as you're listening to this, if you notice that I'm actually a little bit excited talking about this topic, it's because I am. And there's a couple of reasons for that. When I have this conversation with myself, the very things that I'm going to share with you today, kind of expose them to you. At first, they may not sound like fun, frankly. They're going to sound like, oh, damn, this kind of crappy news. Yet nonetheless, once you allow yourself to accept it, let it excite you. This is what excites me. This is what I use every day. There's certainly days that I get up and maybe I don't want to exercise, or maybe I don't want to eat so good, or maybe I just want to keep, I don't know, like looking for potato chips or just whatever, just getting derailed. And then I remind myself of these 3 facts. So I'm going to give you the 3 facts that doctors do not tell you when it comes to your health or about being healthy. Then I'm also going to tell you the 2 things that fixes it up. All right, with that being said, let's dive in. Thank you for being here. Welcome to another episode of Health Made Simple Show. Keep doing things, keep sharing out, keep spreading the love. We are impacting many, and I can't do that without you. So I appreciate the fact that you are liking, following, sharing, giving us 5-star reviews. Keep doing your thing. I know it's a little inconvenient to do that, but please do it. That's awesome. That's how we're able to reach more people. All right, let's dive right in. So instead of telling us these 3 facts about your health, what happens is that pretty much the doctors keep you playing what I call whack-a-mole healthcare, which means this: you come in with a thing and a mole, we'll call it, and you try to whack it. And so you know, I'm not just talking about the medical profession, I mean medical doctors and traditional healthcare systems. Unfortunately, I see a lot of the natural, if you want to call them that way, the natural healthcare providers fall into the same category of just trying to come up with another secret formula that they're going to use. Maybe they're using a vitamin, maybe they're using an herb, maybe they're using some other trick here or there to whack-a-mole. And the reality is that, yes, sometimes those formulas are very important. I give a lot of formulas like that. Yet the 3 things I'm going to mention here today are the foundation for every single one of us to be at our best, to be the best version of ourselves, to be the best version that God allowed us to be here on this earth. So with that being said, let's dive in. Number 1 fact that they forget to tell us across the board. This is a lot of my colleagues and the doctors and the men and women out there listening. You are a healthcare practitioner, you are a coach, you're a functional medicine doctor, a naturopath, wherever it may be, you're a mom, dad, etc. This is rule number 1. Fact number 1 about your health is that being healthy is inconvenient. Doesn't sound good, does it? This is one of the reasons that doctors never tell us. Not because they're good or bad people, not because they're smart or dumb, because this puts them not in favor. The truth is, when your doctor tells you it's very inconvenient to be healthy, I don't know that that's a fun thing to hear at first, but it's a truth that when we accept this and go, oh yeah, okay, it's not convenient. And what do I mean by that? So listen, to be healthy, you're going to have to take time. Definitely going to take some effort. I promise you that. It's also going to mean that you're going to need to be persistent. This is not whack the mole and it goes away. It's not take this formula, take this magic pill, lotion, or potion, and all of a sudden goes away. That's not how health works. Health is super inconvenient. You have to be persistent and resistant. You have to be the one that keeps pushing forward, even though it's inconvenient. So how often do we hear, and I'll give you an example of inconvenience. Well, Doc, you know how it goes. When you go on vacation, you get thrown off. No, you don't. Not when your health becomes your priority. That's when the inconvenience of keeping your good health programs and your habits along with you, everywhere you go, you bring them with you. That's where it is inconvenient at times. So rule number 1, fact number 1 that doctors don't tell you, listen, this is so freeing to me. I know this sounds weird. When I hear this, whether I'm talking and I'm teaching, I just did this last week. I was down in Orlando teaching a bunch of docs, and holler out to my docs out there. Great group of people, great group of men and women committed to leveling up their communities. When I share this with them, it is a reminder to myself. And to me, it almost makes me smile, because there's a part of me that thinks, man, is it always going to be this hard? And the answer is, to some degree, the answer is yes, until it becomes just ritual for you. And then the ritual, because it's ritual or because it's habit, it becomes easy. But I'll tell you, it's always going to be inconvenient, because there's a softer way to do things. So number 1, no doubt about it, that being healthy is inconvenient. And if someone is telling you, no, you don't have to work that hard. Life's not about going all in on your health. You don't have to work that hard. You've earned yourself this or that. listen, run far away. Just fire them, get away from them. You don't need them in your life. They're lying to you. They're lying to you to be in favor of your goodwill. So that's what happens. And I'm going to be honest with you. I did practice this way. I practiced this way for a fair amount of time in my life until I got to the point in my health that I realized this stuff is hard. To be the version of me that I really want to be strong, to be vital, to have a clear mind, to have a strong body, free spirit, to have those things in my life, man, this was inconvenient. I had to start to restructure the way my life worked. But I will tell every one of you what's freeing about this is that you're 100% worth it. I don't know anyone who gets into their ideal shape and gets there and goes, well, that was stupid. I don't like this. This doesn't work for me. This is not benefiting my relationships. It's not benefiting my wealth. It's not benefiting my health overall. No. When we put the work in, it always benefits. So number one of the facts that docs are avoiding all the time is that it's inconvenient. And if they can avoid that fact, they can keep you in the cycle of whack-a-mole healthcare. And that's not where we want to be. Number two is this, that more often than not, to be healthy, it's going to be uncomfortable. Example number one is this. Working out, the reason we call it working out is because it is hard. It is not easy. So to put on muscle onto your body, to become fit, to run 5 miles, 15 miles, to run 500 yards, whatever it may be, it's not easy. It's hard. It's going to be uncomfortable. To get your place in a situation where you can say no to old habits, to patterns, to lifestyle patterns. This is uncomfortable. How about this? Going to a cocktail party, going to a Christmas party, going to an office party, and no cocktails. Folks, that's the uncomfortableness I'm talking about, the discomfort that comes along with making changes for betterment for you. And again, if you notice a little sense of excitement here, it's because I'm excited. Every time I talk about this, it makes me okay with the decisions that I've started to make in my life. And I know I'm going to make more and more as we go here. And I pray that this happens for you. Really what my prayer is about this, when I thought about doing this podcast this morning, I was thinking, man, if this touches thousands of people today, beautiful. If it just gets to one of you that hears this in such a way that, yes, getting healthy is going to be inconvenient. It's going to be uncomfortable. And then the third part is going to be unfamiliar. We'll tackle that in just a moment. But if it sinks in and all of a sudden it's like someone hits you upside the head and goes, hey, wake up. And this sinks in like it did for me. It's quite frankly, it's freeing. No one needs to motivate me anymore. I remind myself, no one's coming to save me. And yes, I got friends and family, a lot of people that love me, and they probably would come save me if I needed them. But on a daily basis, no one's coming to save me. There's no lotion potion. There's no magic formula that's going to make me healthy overnight, which means that if I just get my butt up off the couch, if I get myself out of bed, I get outside, I exercise, I walk, I lift some weights, I put the food down, I do something that's bettering myself. And yes, it's a little inconvenient because I had to shut the TV off. I had to put the phone down, whatever it may be. Whatever I'm able to do as a reminder of telling myself, you know what? If I want to be healthy, it's going to be inconvenient. Go do it right now. Well, wait a minute. It's raining out. Yeah, that's what I mean by uncomfortable. It's a little bit cold out. Yep, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Well, the whole group is going over there, and you're saying you have to go over here for 15 minutes and exercise. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about. That is exactly what I'm talking about. And here's what I know. Every time I do it, I never get done. And everyone that I've ever coached up on this, the people that are getting healthier and healthier and have these disciplines and apply these applications, knowing that nobody's coming to save them. This is what I learned every single time. Nobody regrets it. And we get farther and farther away from whack-a-mole healthcare. Now, do you still use vitamins and herbs and strategies and whatever it may be, maybe even sometimes medications? Sure. They're still there, but they're in a strategy, which we're going to get to strategy in just a moment. So inconvenient, that's fact number one. Uncomfortable is fact number two. And fact number three is, listen, it's going to be unfamiliar. What does that mean? It means you're probably going to have to learn a whole bunch of new things that you don't know about. Two very specific things. Number one is this, and this is as a practitioner for almost 30 years now. This is a big one, and this is scary at times on how little we know this one. This is where we're going to get really unfamiliar, and that's about knowing your body. What do I mean by that? Literally know the difference. How does your body communicate with you? Know when to push and move through discomfort, fever, aches, pains, and know when to pull back, rein it back. Most people, as I know, even adults, maybe the adults are the most. I think kids are probably more intuitive. They probably listen to that innate expression a little bit more. I'm blown away oftentimes how disconnected many of you are with your bodies, not knowing if you should exercise or not. Folks, that's not okay. And I know you come to us as health coaches and doctors to tell you yes or no, but more often than not, if you're one of my patients, I usually flip it over and say, well, what do you think? What do you think your body is asking you for? So there's going to be a level of unfamiliar. If this doesn't apply to you and you think you're a really good listener, you know when to push. There's times, folks, listen, there's times that you are not injured. You might be sore. You might be tired. Your body might be a little upset because it's breaking up some old rust and you're dusting off some cobwebs. And yeah, you got to push through some of those things. That's the inconvenient factor. That's the unfamiliar factor. That's the discomfort factor. Sometimes with the unfamiliarity with our bodies, we got some, we got some room for change here. We got some room to level up there. And again, that's what excites me. I don't know my body 100% the way that my mind and my spirit are, because listen, most of the time we haven't developed our spirits. What if we really get in tune with our physical, emotional, and our spiritual bodies? That's why for me, I know there's so much more for me to learn. And I think everyone listening to this, you'd probably agree. How often are you in the flow? More often than not, I have that in my paperwork for some of the things that I do. People don't even know what that question means. In the flow, what does that mean? That means when your mind, your body, and your spirit are congruent, and it's almost as if time stands still for you and you're getting stuff done and it's coming from above down, inside out. That is a place that once you've been there, you want that as frequently as you can be. And that's why all of this other stuff matters. All right, so I'm derailing just a little bit here. Let me get back to this unfamiliar part. So listen, we're going to need to learn new things. These are the unfamiliar. About foods. Good news is this year we're going to learn a lot about food and chemicals, especially in our environment and things, some of the crap that's in our food. But we're going to have to learn how it affects your body individually. There's a list of good foods everywhere you go, but finding out what foods are good for you, that's a different story. So those three things, those are the three facts that often doctors don't share with us. They just get us right into the whack-a-mole. And I'm going to tell you right now, once you embrace the fact that being healthy is inconvenient, it's going to be uncomfortable, and most likely there's going to be a lot of unfamiliarity, places you haven't gone, things you haven't learned. There's always another level. For example, when it comes to being inconvenient, truth is, and this is a conversation I love having with my patients, especially if they're complaining a little bit about how hard everything is. I tell them this one, crystal clear. Hey, listen, if I don't see you for a year, when you come back in a year, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to tell you one thing very specifically. You're going to have to do more this year than you did last year, and you may not even get the same results. It's going to be harder, and you're going to have to do more. The beauty is, and again, I know this sounds weird, but that conversation excites me. And for some of you, it's exciting you right now. And for some of you, it might not hit for a little bit, but it will excite you because it's freeing. It's freeing in the sense, all right, no one's coming to save me. I got to do this. And now I'm just going to seek it out. All right, seek out how to apply this to my body. Here, it's going to boil down to two things. We're going to wrap this up. It's going to boil down to two things in order for you to apply this to a way to really simplify. Remember, this is the Health Made Simple show. Two things. If you want to continue to level yourself up, how you move, how you eat, how you think, to get your body strong, your mind clear, your spirit free, those types of consciousness, two things are going to take place. You need a strategy. To have strategy, a couple things. You need to know exactly where you are. How strong are you? How fit? Where are you lacking when it comes to your physical health? Here's what I would tell you. Most of you, you're 40 plus years old, probably listening to this. Most of you, or even younger, quite frankly, you need to collect do a deep dive on your labs. You need data. You need to know where you stand on a couple things. Cardiovascular disease, your metabolic health, which things like type 2 diabetes, insulin resistance, insulin, all of those markers, you need to know where they are. You need to know where your hormones are. You need to know where things like your omega-3, where's the status of your brain protection taking place. We need data. So strategy is number one. If you do not know where you are, it is hard to determine where to start on where you're going. Often people say, I want to get ripped. I want to get strong. I want to have better mental clarity. I want to sleep better. Well, where are you today? So understanding, collecting the data is important in order for us to get the proper time, place, and efforts to move forward. Number two is this, accountability. Now, that's where it gets a little tricky. So accountability for most of us as adults, we don't have any accountability, and do not think that you're supposed to be your spouse's accountable one, or that you want them holding you accountable, because it doesn't work that way. We're not supposed to be each other's health coaches. We should obviously want to be healthy for our spouses, no doubt, yet it's not their responsibility. Can you imagine if your spouse is the one telling you to work out all the time? If that's the case, you better get your ass to the gym, because they're telling you something that everyone else sees and you just haven't looked in the mirror yet. With that being said, we need accountability. And this is where many times people fall short. The accountability is going to come in one of two categories. Usually it's just going to boil down to one. And frankly, that number one is this: have you spent money on having someone hold you accountable? That's it. Many of you know what to do. You know what to exercise. You've succumbed to the fact that, you know what, exercise is hard. You kind of know what foods to eat. Food prep is a little bit difficult. It's uncomfortable at times. And quite frankly, it's inconvenient to fall asleep at the right time and get up at the right time, all those things. But if you have someone holding you accountable that you've spent a fair amount of money with, whether that be a functional medicine doctor like myself, or a health coach, or a personal trainer. When you have a personal trainer, anyone who out there has had a personal trainer, you know, you work out better. You get stronger. You get more fit, period. Because they have someone holding you accountable. And how does that happen? Because you paid them. That's it, folks. And this is okay. Why is this okay? We're wasting a lot of money doing a lot of things that do not necessarily invest in our personal health for the future. And so when you put it into your labs, or you put it into your functional medicine doc, or you put it into your personal trainer, or your health coach, or your therapist, or whatever it may be, those are all investments in you. So I'm a huge advocate of those, because we need some accountability, myself included. No doubt about it. There's a reason I have a jiu-jitsu coach. There's a reason I have a striking coach. Do I really just want to go roll all the time and not have a coach? Yes. Do I want to just go spar and whatnot? Yes. But do I have a coach who puts me through the drills, puts me through the hard parts, walks and talks me through my footwork and all that stuff, all the stuff that it's inconvenient, frankly, or at least to the fun part of it all? It is. That's why we have coaches. That's why we have people holding us accountable. And most of the time, it's going to boil down to money. So if you haven't, there's no one on your payroll right now, meaning that you don't pay a couple times a year to review your labs and give you a good strategy, or if you don't have someone right now that's holding you accountable to your exercise program, or to your dietary needs, or to your sleeping needs, whatever it may be. If there's no one out there holding you accountable, then there's an easy spot for you to level yourself up. So, all right, folks. So those two things. And real quickly here, when it comes to labs, I want to at least mention this. We run labs, obviously. So, and at least I want to mention this, whether this is a sales pitch or not, I want to at least mention to you. There are two labs that we run. One's a male and one's a female comprehensive panel. These are full encompassing. These are not the labs. So, and the reason I'm sharing this, these are not what I'm talking about. Going to your doctor once a year, get your annual physical. They run what they call a basic CBC and maybe a metabolic panel. That data right now, it is okay, but not enough to create strategy. That's basically whack-a-mole type lab work. What I'm talking about is in-depth lab work that gives us enough understanding, enough parameters, enough angles to look at so we can determine some very specific things. For example, your cardiovascular risk. Is there any writing on the wall that you might be headed toward cardiovascular disease? We know what markers to look for. We know to look at your lipids, small particles, large particles, your LDLs, your ratios between triglycerides and HDLs. I've covered this in some of the podcasts. We have to see where your status is when it comes to insulin resistance. We want to know things like your APOB. We want to know the full picture to determine what your cardiovascular risk is for the number one killer in our country, which is heart disease. The second most biggest problem in our country is all the metabolic dysfunctions and diseases. Think of just type 2 diabetes. We want to run all those markers: insulin, hemoglobin A1C, blood glucose levels, insulin resistance. We want to know all of these. We want to know what the homocysteine levels are doing, the C-reactive protein. So my point here is this. We have a very comprehensive male panel and a very comprehensive female panel. Iron levels, hormones, all of it. Imagine getting all of that data in one moment. Now, listen, there is a lot of places online you can just go order that stuff. That's where we have a problem with it. This is where we pay, we get data, and what do you do with the data? It's the accountability and the strategy that makes the sense next. So if you've done that, and the reason I'm bringing that up, many of you listening to this have ordered online. It sounds like a great deal. Get 80 markers for $300 or $500 or something. And then they send you a printout that was generated via AI. And you're sitting at home. Is anyone holding you accountable for it? No. Do you have a lot of questions about it? Yes, you always do. Healthcare is personal. That is where you should put your money. This is not where you cut corners. This is not whack-a-mole. So this is where you invest a little bit of time and money. If you'd like to do that, which we'd be happy to do that, it's very simple. You reach out, make sure there's some kind of connection or a contact below in the notes here today. Reach out to us. We can set up a Zoom. We can send you a requisite anywhere in the country. Easy breezy. You go run your labs. You and I sit down, or someone on my team and you will sit down. You will get to go through all your labs, find out where the weak links are, find out what needs to be strategized, and then there's accountability. You'll probably have a follow-up. You'll probably be given recommendations, suggestions for your food, for your exercise, what vitamins or herbs specifically to your data, very specifically to your lab work, very personalized for you. You work on it 60 days, 90 days, 120 days, and then you come back and test it again. That right there, folks, is what we found for thousands of people, the fastest way to level them up. All right. So if you're wanting that information, that'll be in the notes below. With that being said, keep doing your thing, keep sharing it out, keep spreading love, and continue, of course, to level yourself up. Make sure to take deliberate action for your mind, your body, your overall wellness. Gotta be awesome.